Hi there, Abdulakim here with the Epi Info for Rookies channel. Can you create an electronic data collection form or a questionnaire directly on your iPad? Well, the short answer is yes. And you can do this using a free software called Epi Info Companion. In this video, I'll be showing you a super simple way of creating a form using Epi Info Companion on your iPad. If this is something you'd like to learn, then let's get stuck in. This video will be divided into 4 parts. First, we'll be describing the paper form, right? Then we'll show you how to get to the form designer on the Epi Info app. Then we'll create the form from scratch, variable by variable, and this is actually the longest part of the video. And finally, we'll test the form by using it to collect data. Awesome. I'll be assuming at this point that you already have the Epi Info app installed on your iPad or iPhone. Yes, you heard me right, iPhone. It is exactly the same user interface and procedure on the iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, you can follow along too. However, if you're yet to install this on your device, then you may want to watch this video here, which explains how to properly install and set up the Epi Info for your iPad or iPhone. Links in the description as well. Now on to the first part, which is describing the paper form. So we'll be transforming this sample form. This is a summary report of a TB contact investigation in a congregate setting. This is a very common paper form used by public health professionals that details the results of a contact tracing investigation conducted in a location, particularly a location where a large group of people live or gather together, like a shelter, a clinic, prison, or nursing home. It is used for following the identification of a tuberculosis case among residents. This form summarizes the number of individuals screened, their exposure risk levels, testing results, and any subsequent treatment recommendations for those found to be infected with latent TB. That's not TB. All right, I just had something itching my throat. So let's identify the different parts of this tool. This is the title, all right? Next is the introduction, all right? The introduction explains what the form is and gives some instruction. It is important that anytime you develop a tool or instrument, you have to have a section for instructions. This is the global best practice. Then we have some identifiers, so you can see like the facility name, phone number, what again? Fax. Do people still use fax nowadays? Next, we have some date fields for the estimated period of exposure. Then these 2 checkboxes to identify if the form that is being submitted is the initial submission or a final submission, meaning this form is meant to be submitted twice per facility or setting. And right here, we have a table. Now, wait till you see how we will represent this table in electronic form. Easy peasy. Then we have these first 6 variables for initial submission. These are all open number fields, also easy. And then next is these 3 variables. That's number 7 to 9 to include when making a final submission. Also easy number fields. And lastly, we have an open text field as number 10 for comments. Then at the very bottom of the form, the name of the person completing the form. This is a text field. The date of filling the form, which is a simple date field. And lastly, the phone number and fax. Great. This is a super easy form to make electronic. Now let's start creating the form on Epi Info, shall we? Enter the Epi Info Form Designer. To get to the Form Designer, launch the Epi Info mobile app on your iPad or iPhone. Remember, I said that they have the same user interface. So you'll see under the Enter Data tab, you can create forms, enter data, browse existing records, and even search the database. So since we want to create forms, let's click on the main tab that says Enter Data. It then brings us to this page. Here, we'll just select Create Form with Form Designer. And boom, we're already in the Form Designer. Just like that. Now let's click on New Form, which brings up this dialog box. Here, we need to give our electronic form a name. Let's name this Contact Investigation Form, CIF. Now, note that this field doesn't like you using spaces or special characters, but I put spaces between the words. All right, so let's see what happens when I click Save. Epi Info here doesn't complain. It just removes the spaces and puts the name right over there. So our form designer is now charged and ready for us to start building our form. Okie dokie, artichoke. Now it's time to create our electronic form variable by variable. Let's start with the first thing on our form, which is the title. How do we create this title in Epi Info? It's super simple. Let me show you. With the form designer already charged, just click on anywhere on this canvas and to bring up this list of actions that you can do in the form designer. Let's look at the whole list. Do you see anything that resembles what we are trying to create? Just look closely. Yes, correct. You have sharp eyes. See, it says label/title here, right? This is what we are going to use. The label/title is used for aspects of any form that does not need the user's input. Because here in the original paper form, the user will not need to input anything as this is just the title of the form. So let's go back to Epi Info. So let's click on label/title. we'll get this dialog box that pops up. In this dialog box, first enter the title as you want it to appear on the electronic form for the data collector. So just click on the space for title text. So here we'll say summary report of a TB contact investigation in a congregate setting. What this means is when we are collecting data, this is what the data collector is going to see on his or her mobile phone. Next in this dialog box is the field name. As soon as you click this area, it automatically writes a short name for this field. Well, this is too long for my liking. Let's just delete this, nice, and change it to title. Now please note, this field is meant to show the true name of the variable as it will appear during data analysis. We are not going to see this name during data collection, but during data analysis, so take note. So it is crucial that you write a good name so you don't get confused during data analysis, or the data analyst doesn't get confused. I will explain a bit more when we go to the next variable, so no worries. Now let's click on save and boom, we have our first title. Nice. Let's check our original paper form. The next thing is our introduction. So we'll do the same thing in Epi Info. So click anywhere on the canvas and then it will bring up the list of all the actions again, right? Let me ask you now, what type of variable will we choose for this introduction? Remember, it's just a field that the data collection will not make any inputs into. Right? Think. Yes, you got it again. It's a label. All right. This is because a label / title is used for aspects of a form that does not need the user's input. It's only going to appear to the data collector, right? As we mentioned earlier. So under the label title text, we'll write the whole text as we want it to appear to the data collector. It's quite long, so I'm going to fast forward this process to save time. All right. Awesome. Then in the next tab, that's the field name. And as soon as we click on it, it writes a short name as usual. Let's call it introduction_instruction. So in this tab, you can add underscore, but no space and no any other special characters except the underscore. And let's hit save. Awesome. Now we have our form title and our introduction. Now let's go on to the next. Let's look at our original form. Yes, the next is facility name. So in Epi Info, let's tap on the canvas again. This time, what will we select? Just think of it this way. What kind of information will be entered into this field? Since it's a name field, now we'll be entering text in that space that we'll be creating, right? So let's select text from this list. Under the field prompt, let's write facility name, and then we'll click on the field name, and let's just leave this short name by default, right? Nice. So save. What's next on our original form? Let's check. Okay, phone number. Now, since we'll be entering phone number here, let's look if we have any option for that on our list. Well, what do you know? We have the option right there. So we'll select phone number. We'll enter the name under the field prompt. Then we allow the field to populate automatically. And then we hit save. Super. So now we have our phone number field. So you see how easy it is? Now, if you're enjoying this so far, then a sub to the channel will be highly appreciated. Let's move on to the next. The next variable is, let's check, fax. All right, fax. This is also a number field. So let's call it fax number. All right. Allow the default field name, click save. So far, so good. All right. Now, at this point, I'm sure you're already wondering, this form doesn't look well formatted. This doesn't look great. This form is looking so funny. Yada, yada, yada. But don't worry. This is just the form designer. We are just in the form designer, right? By the time we finish and we leave the form designer, you'll see how beautiful and professional this form will look. So let's move on. Now, looking at the form again, the next is this variable that shows the estimated exposure period in the setting between two dates, from one date through the next date. This one is also easy, right? There are two variables in one. So we will just make two separate variables, each using date fields. So let's go back to Epi Info. For the first one, let's choose date field, and let's call the first space estimated exposure period in the setting from. All right. I'm not using the default name here. Let's delete it. Okay. What do you think we should call it? Let's call it exposure from. The same thing for the next one. Let's use the date field. Okay. Call it estimated exposure period in the setting through. Okay. So remember, it's from to through. So for the field name, let's call it exposure_through. Awesome. We're almost there. Our form is already taking shape. Let's look at the original form for the next one. Initial submission with screening/testing results after 10 weeks of exposure, numbers 1 to 6, right? This one is a checkbox field. So in Epi Info Companion, let's click on the canvas again. Do we have the option for checkbox? Yes, that's it. So select checkbox field. Let's write the full name. Initial submission with screening/testing results after 10 weeks of exposure, in bracket numbers 1 to 6. Let's leave the default generated name and then go to the next one. For the next one, it's the same thing. It's a checkbox field. It says final submission with latent TB treatment information. That's numbers 1 to 9. So that's for the final submission. Let's click on the canvas again. Select the checkbox field. Let's write the name in full. Final submission with latent TB treatment information, numbers 1 to 9 in bracket. And leave the default generated name. Hit save. Wow, you can see our form is already rapidly taking shape. Don't worry, this is not how our electronic form will look when we finish. This is just the form designer. The final form is going to look bam. Now, on to the next. The next one is a table. An Epi Info mobile does not really support tables. So now we're stuck. I guess this is where the video ends. Sorry, people. Sorry for not realizing this since the beginning. I will just have to go from here. All right, not so fast. I was just kidding. Please listen carefully. Though Epi Info does not support tables, and so do many other data entry software like Epi Info, there's a simple workaround. Just simply consider each cell as a variable. So if we label this row as A, then the first cell will be a text variable for the potential sites of exposure within facility for A. The next cell will be the date of last exposure in site within facility for A. And then the third cell will be the window period end date 8 to 10 weeks after last exposure for A. Easy peasy. So let's go into Epi Info so I explain this further for you. Obviously, we will select the first cell and we see that it's a simple text field because it wants us to enter the site of exposure. So let's select text. Let's label this as A. Remember, we're using A, the A row, all right? Potential site of exposure within the facility. Let's use the default name. Nice. For the second cell, it's still on row A, remember. So let's still use A, and it's the date field, right? All right, so let's add it. For the third cell, it's also a date field. So we'll say window period end date, 8 to 10 weeks after last exposure. Here, I want to just adjust the field name a little. So let's clean it up, okay? Call it window period without the spaces, and nice. So this is how to simply create data variables for tables. Just take each cell singly and give it a proper name and type, and you're good to go. So I'll leave you to do the other rows, that's rows B and C, and you can call it whatever you want, just make sure you use the same method. All right, let's finish this form. The next is a numbered field. So let's write number 1, total number of contacts identified. But look at what happens when I click on the field. Danger, all right? It shows red, meaning there's a problem. There's a big problem, all right? And so we are in big trouble, right? We can't save our form. See, the save button is even grayed out. That means we cannot save. So do you know what the problem is? Look at it closely. Yes, it's the number. Remember, I told you you cannot use special characters and spaces for the field name. Also, you cannot start a field name with a number. So let's remove this number and let's just write total number in words. No spaces, and we're good. Nice, can save. The next is number 2, right? Let's look at the form again. So it says, yes, number of contacts with a documented previous positive test. So in Epi Info, let's just select the number field as usual, and let's write it in full. Good. For the field name, just call it number of contacts. Easy. So let's go back to our original form. Yes, number 3, number of previously positive contacts who were fully evaluated. This is also a number field. So number 3 in Epi Info, number of previously positive contacts who were fully evaluated. Let's call it number of positives without the space. Cool. And looking back at our original form, this is the same thing for number 4. Total number of contacts tested without prior positive results. Nice. So let's clean here, okay? And let's call it total number of contacts tested without the spaces. And then let's go to number 5. For number 5, this is also a number field. Total number of contacts without prior positive results. All right, let's just write that. Let's leave the default name. And let's not forget the number 5 there. So let's clean that. Nice. So we're almost there. Let's go and check for number 6. That's the number of contacts with a new positive result. All right. This is also a number variable. So we select the number field as usual, and we'll enter the name, then the field name, and then we save. Let's look at our original form again. So here we can see that 7, 8, and 9 are also number fields. 7 is the number of contacts who started treatment with new latent TB infection. 8 is the number of contacts who completed treatment for new latent TB infection. And 9 is the number of contacts diagnosed with TB disease. So I'll just do this quickly to save time because we don't have very much time again. All right, awesome. So let's go to the last one. That's number 10. But wait, what if we made a mistake in any of these previous fields that we have created? Can we go back and fix it, or we have to start all over again? Well, I hate to break the news to you. There's nothing that you can do when you make a mistake than to just go back and fix it. All right, so that's very, very easy. I just wanted to scare you a little, right? So, and this is very easy to do. Just click on the particular variable or question that you want to correct, and the dialog box will open up again for you to make edits. So for instance, look at the original form. I forgot to write the full question on number 9. So in the form designer, I'll simply just click on number 9 and edit it the way I want. So let's just add report to local department and save. Awesome, life is easy. Now it's time to move on to number 10. That's the space for the comments, right? This is a text field. And so when we go to Epi Info, we'll select text field, enter our field prompt. We say number 10, comments. Let's call the field name also comments. And awesome. Now we have our complete form. And we are, oh no, there's more. There's the name of person completing the form, date, phone number, and fax. All right. That's easy, but let's do it together. The name field is text. Okay, so we select text. Let's say name of person completing the form. All right, so let's leave the default name as usual. Then we go to the next. This is date. Okay, and that's the date field, right? So let's write date. Let's say date of completion here. And then for phone number, let's select the phone number field. We leave the default. Same for fax. Great. I hope that's all this time, right? Oh no! We still have this here. Okay, it's some form of instruction, right? So, and this is good. So I'll leave this one for you to see if you have really been following. So which type of field will we use for this one? Please put your answers in the comment section. So this is the only way I will know if you have really been following. And I know majority of you will get this correctly. But right now, I'll do it secretly so you don't see. Hey, are you the cameraman or video editor? Please make sure you blank out this screen, all right? So my viewers don't see what I'm doing, okay? All right, then I'll wait and see your answers in the comment section. Alrighty, we have now completed our form and it's time to show you how our hard work has paid off, okay? But just before then, because I know some of you will ask me in the comments, what if we want to change the order of our questions? Can we do it? Of course you can. That's why I told you Epi Info is the good stuff. To do this, just click on the particular variable you want to move. For example, if you wanted 2 to come before 1, just click on 2. Then this dialog box will pop up. See where it says move up or down, right? We can use these buttons to move the field to anywhere we want on the canvas. So let's now move it up. See what happens when I click move up. Now, if you see the order, we have 2, 1, 3, and so on. All right, let's change it back. Let's move it down, okay? Click move down and save. Great. Now we have our complete form. All right. What do we do next? Save? Nah, no need to save. It's saved up automatically. All you need to do now is to hit on close at the bottom of the form designer and we're set. Okie dokie, artichoke, testing out our new form. So now that we've created our form, we need to test it out and see if everything works well before we deploy it to the field, right? But there's a big problem. We cannot find our form. We cannot find the form that we just created. Hi. Oh my God. Just when you thought nothing else could go wrong. All right, just kidding. To find our newly created form, just go to enter data and click on the drop down. And we see our form at the top of the list. Contact investigation form. Remember the name, right? Yes, that's it. So let's select it and click open. And boom, you see our super awesome, really beautiful and extra classic Epi Info electronic form. Wow. All right, so let's fill up this form and see if it works as expected. So you see our title, all right? Nice. You see the intro, awesome. Now facility name, let's say Samaru Primary Healthcare Center, PHC. So phone number, fax. So for fax, let's say 467953 or 543, whichever one. Estimated exposure period. See what happens when we click this date space. It pops up this nice calendar widget. So it was from December 3rd, 2024 through, let's click the next date, through February 3rd, 2025. Now, this is an initial submission. So let's check off the box. Then we come to the table portion. Potential site, let's say the laboratory. Date of last exposure, January 8th, 2025. Window period, end date, let's pick 30th of January. No, let's change it to 27th February 2025. Great. Total contacts, let's say 5. All right. You see this form works straight out of the box. So let's put 3 here. For number 3, let's also put 3. Total number of contacts tested without prior results, let's say 4. Contacts without prior results but fully evaluated, let's say 1. And this next one with TST, IGRA, I don't know what that means. Let's put 3. For number 7, let's put 3 also. Number 8, that's the number of contacts who completed treatment for new latent infection. Let's say 1. Number 9, let's say 0. Awesome. And here is number 10 for the comments. So what comments do we add? Okay, let's add that we were unable to get information concerning one of these staffs as he was out of the country. Wow, this form works perfectly. Awesome. I hope yours is working well too. Lastly, let's add the name of the person completing the form. All right, the date, okay, and then the phone number. Don't you dare copy my phone number. Okay, I'm just kidding. Video editor, please make sure you blow out my number so people don't start calling me. All right. Now, if you're watching this and my number is still there, please let me know in the comments so I can fire my video editor. Yes, I'm going to fire you. All right. Then the fax. Awesome. Then when we're done entering data, we just hit on submit at the bottom of the form, and boom, we have entered and saved our first record. If we want to enter another record, we can continue immediately, or we just close our form. So this is how to create a beautiful electronic form with Epi Info Companion app right on your iPad or your iPhone. Okie dokie, Adichoki. If you want to take this tutorial to the next level, then you will love this video that teaches you how to browse and make adjustments to all the records that you have just entered into Epi Info. See you in the next one, but until then, peace.